temperatures 32 degrees. Forecast for this Sunday, February 24th, calling for lots and lots of sunshine. Afternoon highs rising around 55 to 30. It is time now for the Bible Believers broadcast with the Reverend Jimmy Millsaps of Grace Tabernacle Baptist Church.
Well, Daddy balled him a long-eared mule and he called him Simon Slick. He'd wall his eyes and switch his tail, that fool could kick. Said, whoa, mule, whoa, whoa, mule, holler. Tie a knot in that old mule's tail and put him through the collar. Take him off down below the house and hitch him to the plow with a G and a ha and a whoa and a ha and a G and a ha, whoa now. Said, whoa, mule, whoa, whoa, mule, I say, keep your seat, little Liza Jane, hold tight to the sleigh. Hold tight to the sled.
Then my uncle, he was one-legged down here. He was a watch tanker. He rode a mule and a buggy for 32 years on this road going to Robbinsville to work on. He's a watch tanker.
Mm-hmm.
I've caught him out a many a time. It'd take us a long time to get into town in that old buggy. He'd tell me to work the brake. We'd start to go up a hill. I'd kind of push the brake on. He'd tell that old mule, get up there, get. Me scooting the wheel, but he'd look back. You know, Tom, he said, turn the brakes loose. And he'd take 3 years of corn to feed it at lunch. He'd start back home about 4 o'clock. Probably made $2 and had one leg.
I am a roving gambler, I've gambled down in town. Whenever I meet with a deck of cards, I lay my money down. Lay my money down, I lay my money down. Hadn't been in Washington not many more weeks than 3 till I fell in love with a pretty little girl and she fell in love with me. Fell in love with me, she fell in love with me. Parlor, she cooled me with her fan. She whispered low in her mother's ear, I love that gambling man. Love that gambling man. I love that gambling man. Daughter, my dear daughter, how can you treat me so? To leave your dear old mother and with the gambler go. And with that gambler go. With that gambler go. Mother, oh dear mother, I'll tell you if I can. If you ever see me a-coming back again, I'll be with the gambling man. Be with the gambling man. I'll be with the gambling man. Thank you. The most of people lived through this area, all learned all of the old mountain music and the mountain songs, and few people like myself and a very few other people that still sings the old ballads. There are not too many of us left, and then my family, well, there's still some of the others that sings a lot of some of the mountain music, but not a lot of them.
And so them old songs back then, why, there's some of them that was about all we had back then was a guitar or a banjo. They'd have, and they'd work down around the church house, meeting house. They'd have pie suppers down there selling pies down there where we went to school at. There'd be a deacon of the church or something, or somebody to get money, There wasn't a lot of money. Work on them farms for a day for $1, yeah, or a bushel of corn, yeah. So that's it. Nobody grumbled about it. No.
I don't know where people was happy back then, seemed like, with what they had.
They didn't know any better, so they just accepted what they had and was thankful for it.
Now people have so much, they throw away more than we had back then.
So the doctor asked me one day, he said, Jim Tom, he said, would you tell me what you eat? Why, I said, absolutely. Bologna sandwiches. He said, keep a pouring them to you. He said, I've checked you for years and years. He said, your blood level stays right on the line, never been up, never been down. I said, well, that's what, he said, keep a pouring them to you. He said, that's what you're eating. Talking about bicycles, my first cousin lived right down there. We was about 12 years old, and his brother was in the service, and they bought Chad and Vance a Shelby bicycle, that's the name of it, Shelby, for Christmas. We rode it all day. We'd take time about up the highway, and I brought it right up here, and the road was gravel. That was about 4:30 to 5 in the evening. It lasted one day. I come through here a-flying, and it got to shimmying right down there to the house with me. It was just upside down. It tore that thing. It was the wheels just like that, and we demolished that thing in one day. Yeah, Vernon said, I'll never buy another.
Farewell, sweet Jane, I now must start across the roaring sea. My trunk is now on Johnson's boat with all its company. Don't weep for me, sweet lovely Jane, come dry those tearful eyes, for I'll return to you again unless your Willie dies. She met my lips with flowing tears, and I did kiss her hand. Oh, think of me, sweet Willie dear, while in some foreign land.
I got a bunch of relatives that lives in Delaware, and that's like 200 miles away from New York City. And we rode an electric train, a big electric train up there. It was pretty wild. I forget his name. He was dead and gone before I was born, but he said that he was building this guy came up to him and he was like, it's on a Sunday, and he said I got to go up here and hoe this garden. You think the devil will get me? And that guy said, no. He said, I've been up there building a fence all morning and I hadn't seen him. Then there's another one like, that same guy that told him that, they asked him, he had an old coon dog, and they said, what kind of dog's that? He said, half coon dog and the other half just old dog.
And William Byrd tells me some of the awfulest tales you've ever heard in your life. And I said, you reckon that's true? He said, I know it is. He said, sure it is. Like the little people, you know. They all believe it, the little elves. He's sitting there, I said the other day, about 2 years ago. And my house kind of made a streaking racket. I said, what was it, William? He said, that's one of them little people. He said, they're watching over you, and he said, if I was to bother you, he said, they'd break every bone in my body. He said, that's the reason I'm good to you. I said, you believe in them? Well, he said, there's 4 sets. He said, there's some in the ground, some in the water, and he said, some up yonder and some back somewhere else. I don't know. I said, have you ever seen one? Oh, yeah. He said, Ike Jackson picked one up out here at the Rock House on the head of the lake. He said, where are you going? He said, Ike had to help him in the car. He's so little. He said, I'm just going to the Galp up here where the trash dumps is at. He said, he stopped and let him out and said he watched him. Right down through yonder he went, right into a pile of rocks. Well, he said, sure, we see him. Ute Smoker said, they wash our dishes for us after we go to bed. He said, we eat, leave them on the table, and when we get up in the morning, he said, our dishes clean. Well, Bill Slaughter said, that's them wharf rats. No, he said, it's the elves.
Dance around my little miss, dance around my daisy. Fly all around my pretty little miss, you bout run me crazy. Yonder come my pretty little miss, how do you reckon I know? Tell her by that speckled dress I've seen her wear before. Dance around my blue-eyed gal, fly all around my daisy. Fly all around my blue-eyed gal, you bout drive me crazy. Higher up a cherry tree, the sweeter are the cherries. The more you hug and kiss that gal, the sooner she wanna marry. Dance all around my blue-eyed gal, dance around my daisy. Fly all around my pretty little miss, 'cause you bout drive me crazy. Dance around my pretty little miss, dance around my daisy. Fly all around my pretty little miss, 'cause you bout run me crazy.
Then this one here is Jake. This one is half Arabian and half saddlebred. He's a good little horse. And the one down there is another quarter horse.
It was a form of entertainment. They didn't have no movies to go to, no television to watch. So they'd gather at the neighbors' houses, move the kitchen table, and dance. That was their entertainment. And it must have been pretty good. It's been here a long time.
That's little Ruth.
Oh yeah, my brother'd pull that on my mother back then. People thought
thought people that went to dances and things like that, they's hell bound, you know. And my brother'd say, Mama, we're going to have a little game of skip to Maloo. You don't care, do you? Oh, no, son, as long as it's skip to Maloo, that's fine. Of course, she never did see him do no wrong, no way. And it wasn't a thing in the world but a squire dance. And Mama thinking it's just,
a game.
yeah, it's just a little game.
That was me and two more boys up there that are having one of these holiness prayer meetings at this place. And the road went away up here, and the old house was straight down in the hole. You could stand up there and toss a rock down the top of the old chimney made out of mud and rocks. And they was in there hollering and going on, however how they do it. And we got a pack of them little old 10-cent firecrackers. We got a hold of them some way. There's three of us. And I went down to this end and watched to see wasn't nobody looking. This other boy went up there to the other end. And this other boy, he walked over and tossed them down that chimney. And them firecrackers went down and hit that fire. They had a fire in the fireplace. It blowed fire coals all over that house. You talk about breaking up a prayer meeting, it did. If they'd have caught us, they'd have put us in jail. We run off.
And they never did find out who it was?
No, they tried to find out, but they never did find it out. Oh, yeah, I went down in our basement one time where we, as they say, potatoes, well, I call them taters. I was fixing to go to school, and I was going to get me a tater out of there to hit the school bus with Friday evening. I carried it all week in my hip pocket. Old number 9, a 40-some Chevrolet. So I thought the light bulb was screwed in the socket. It was damp. We kept our taters down in a big hole. And I was in there messing around. I said, let me hunt the light bulb. I got my finger in that socket. And my feet wet. I done the twist. I couldn't get loose. See, 110 will hold you, and a 220 will knock you loose. Well, there I was in the basement. It's just like this. I'll tell you the truth, I couldn't get loose, and I finally did. Yeah. Then hit the bus and the rear end with that potato that Friday evening, like I got killed on Monday morning with a big hickory.
Oh, that's kicking your heels up, you know. Everybody want to cut a little shine, you know. Kicking your heels up, dancing a little bit, you know.
What's that called?
Cutting the shine. Yeah. Yeah. Man, do a little darn dancing. Some of that good fast dancing. I can't dance too long anymore. You popcorn?
You can also cut a shine just plain on misbehaving.
Yeah.
Child show out.
Yeah. Remember that beer joint used to be up there on Main Street, old Stove Walls? Yeah. Yeah, I cut a shine up there, and you know what he done? He run me off. He'd get you, wouldn't he?
We'd make us a barn there and get in his barn over where them buggies at, kill his chickens. He had a big Dominicker rooster and he wouldn't have took nothing for it, he said. And me and Chad made us a spear and put a piece of a Prince Albert can right in the end of it, real sharp. Chad said, let me just see how this thing shoots. That big Dominicker in there looking around. We got it right up the ridge and buried that one. And he just, till this day, before he died, like know where his rooster ever went. We ain't got no ideas. Just don't know. Hawk caught it. Too big to carry off, he said.
You know, have you ever seen a little bear?
Yeah, but
I mean a little bear.
no.
They don't have a bit of hair on them. They're naked as a, yeah, they're just skinny like your hand there, see?
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that old mother, she'll hold that little bear up to her breast, you know, or her nip, and she takes care of him. Now they've got more sense than you think, you know. They're kind of like a woman, you know. They nurse their young, but sometimes most time they just have one cub, you know. But a lot of times, I mean, sometimes you can see one as many as three cubs. Now they're cute little fellas when they're small, you know.
They're very possessive, aren't they?
Oh, you bet. No, you get between an old mother bear and her cub, you've just got in trouble right then. 'Cause she'll get you, boy, like you wouldn't believe.
Me and Vance and Dewey Sharp and Euless Cook went a coon hunting. Way back yonder, about 30 miles back in the mountains. So it was about 11 o'clock, and we was coming out to our vehicle, and I had an axe and a flashlight. And all the gun they had was a .32 pistol. Won't kill nothing. Well, the dogs took up the bank, they treed up there. They said, go up there, Jim Tom, see what they've got up that tree. Well, up the bank I went with my axe and flashlight, and I said, it's two bears, a cub and the mama bear. I was really looking at them. Up they come. The cub weighed about 110 pounds. Well, they got that old pistol out, and 3 boxes of shells. Boom. They wouldn't let on. Bang. And after a while, that little one said, wow! Boy, he squealed. He come backing down. It hit him on the foot. He hit the ground right around through yonder. I took after him with this axe. Right around the side of that mountain we went, and there's a big old log laying up the hill like that, and he ran up there under that log, stuck his head out. And I was up on this log. And I looked up, there he was. Bing! Right between the eyes I got him, and I drug him out of there, and I throwed him across my back. A big stout back then. I got him, got my axe, and my flashlight, and I come back around through there. I said, if you got yours? No, they said, no. I said, I got mine.
I believe it was last winter we were hauling hay from Maggie, and I got down to Untitled. It was on the pickup truck, and he was up on top, and he turned the bell loose and hit me on top of the head. Well, the next day we went up there, and we had to load out up there, and we went around the hill, and I started to get out, you know, to help him unload it. And it was so steep I fell off and rolled down the hill. And then there was something else happened that week, and I was telling the preacher when we went to church, and he looked at me and he said, well, it looks to me like you were drunk this week.
Yeah.
But
see,
we've had a
he
good
accused her of
time.
being drunk.
I told her father, me and her were going to get married. Well, he had a few things to say about it. I don't remember what it was, but I didn't marry her anyway if he hadn't said nothing.
He wasn't against it.
Yeah. Yeah, we were going to get married. We loved each other, and we just got married.
Or the younger generation that's coming up, they don't know one thing about any of the old words or anything that people used to do. The kind of living that we made. You can mention about making homemade syrup. They don't know a thing in the world about it. How do you do that?
Well, you got to live some of that stuff though to know it, Mother.
I know you do, but at least you've heard us talk about it till you know what kind of a life we lived. But
well, it's all documented good somewhere though in some book if somebody really wants to know it.
Oh, they tell me of a home far beyond the sky. Oh, they tell me of a home far away. Oh, they tell me of a home where no start baking a cake for yourself, well, somebody, you'll bake it the way you do. Huh? Yeah, and nobody tells me nothing.
I see time has come and gone. May God bless you in my prayer until the next broadcast.
You have been listening to the Calvary Baptist Hour with the Reverend Ray Stewart, heard every Sunday morning on WCVP 29 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock.